right. And forget about it. It is done. The ball game's over. It was a patented Mickey Mantle drive.
Come on, Mickey Mantle has hit the 500 home run.
The great number 7, Mickey Mantle. I've often wondered how a man who knew he was going to die could stand here and say that he was the luckiest man in the world. But now I think I know how Lou Gehrig felt.
The batter, Mickey Mantle, up there left-handed, and he gets a fastball and hits a long, long drive. Deep right field. It's gone. It's out of the ballpark. Another home.
Mickey Mantle was New York Yankees' most beloved slugger since Babe Ruth. He played his first game for the New York Yankees in 1951. The same year Joe DiMaggio retired. Mantle went on to replace DiMaggio in center field. Mantle was famous for his home run power, both right and left-handed. He hit 536 home runs in his career. Mantle was voted the American League's most valuable player in 1956, 1957, and in 1962, and won 7 World Series championships with the Yankees before he retired on March 1st, 1969. As great as he was, Mantle might have been greater without leg problems that dogged him throughout his career. He tore up his right ankle in 1951 when he caught his spikes on a drain cover in a World Series game. For many baseball-loving kids like me who grew up in the 50s and the 60s, Mickey Mantle was baseball. For a huge portion of our generation, Mickey Mantle was a baseball hero. He was our symbol of baseball at a time when the game meant something to us, when we were young and learning about the game and what it meant. You remember when you went out to the sandlot and you played baseball, how many people wanted to be Mickey? Mickey Mantle was a baseball hero. He was our symbol of baseball at a time when the game meant something to us, when we were young and learning about the game and what it meant. You remember when you went out to the sandlot and you played baseball, how many people wanted to be Mickey Mantle? And we looked forward to seeing him every Saturday on TV. Whenever there was a game that the New York Yankees was playing, I was there. Let's now go to an interview conducted by Paul Hornung as Mickey Mantle reminisces about his career. Let's now go to an interview conducted by Paul Hornung as Mickey Mantle reminisces about his career.
Mickey Mantle, the batter, bases full of Yankees. Big moment of the World Series. Meyer in a lot of trouble. Gets the sign from Campanella. Here's his pitch. Mantle swings, and there's a long drive, and that ball's out of here. Grand slam. And the Mix got himself a big Yankee reception committee.
In the late 40s, the Mickey Mantle legend begins to unfold on the sandlots of Commerce, Oklahoma. Mickey Mantle, baseball's Triple Crown winner, 1956. 3 times the American League's most valuable player. Holder of 9 World Series records, including 18 home runs. Today, Mantle is a successful business executive in Dallas, Texas. Former Green Bay great Paul Hornung met with Mickey during a morale-boosting visit to a children's hospital. And then, once again, at Hornung's Manhattan apartment, where they explored the legend of a man who was to become one of baseball's all-time immortals.
Mickey, you were probably on the covers of more magazines than anybody in the history of the New York Yankees, and I'd say that stands as itself quite an honor. But the one thing that distinguishes Mickey Mantle from all the rest of you, great power from both sides of the plate. And it started early. Your dad, I understand, really wanted you to learn how to hit from both sides of the plate.
Well, yeah, baseball was his whole life, and he named me, actually, before I was born, after a baseball player named Mickey Cochran. His name was Gordon, but my dad didn't know that, I'm glad of. And anyway, he knew that someday in the future, from the time that I was born, that you was going to have to, if you couldn't hit both ways, you was going to have to be platooned. And so he taught me, his father was a left-handed pitcher, and he was right-handed, so he would pitch to me and let me hit left-handed, and then when my grandfather came home from work, well, he would pitch to me left-handed, and I'd bat right-handed. So they knew that someday you was going to have to be a switch hitter or almost a switch hitter, unless you was just one of the fortunate ones that could hit both types of pitching from one side of the plate. And it was really lucky for me because when I joined the Yankees is when Casey Stengel started platooning everybody.
Well, I've got some of your 536 home runs here, Mick. Why don't you get comfortable over here? We'll take a look and see if we can pick up some of this.
The hitter will be Mickey Mantle. Will be up there right-handed in a tough situation. They're around to the left on Mantle. Here's the pitch, and he gets all of it. He hits a long drive, deep, deep left field, and that ball is gone. Mantle bangs one when the Yankees really need it.
You see that facade up there in right field in Yankee Stadium? I hit 2 balls that almost went over that, and I think they liked about maybe 6 inches apiece, and those were 2 of the hardest hit balls I ever hit.
Mantle up there left-handed against the right-hander. They pull around to the left on Mantle, and here's the pitch. It's a breaking ball, and he hits a deep shot to right center field. The ball is going, it's gone. Another home run by Mickey Mantle, which ties up the ball game. Mantle, the batter. The pitch is over, and he gets a shot at it and bangs it hard to deep left center field. This ball may be out of here. It is gone. A home run by Mantle. And the Yankees jump into the lead.
This here picture here was in an all-star game. This is one of the biggest thrills I ever had. This game went about 15 innings, and Stan Musial ended up winning the game. He and Yogi was pitching. This is Nellie Fox here, and this guy coming in right now was one of my idols, Ted Williams, and I hit the ball with him on base. I think Ted Williams is probably the greatest hitter I ever saw.
The batter, Mickey Mantle, up there left-handed, and he gets a fastball and hits a long, long drive, deep right field. It's gone. It's out of the ballpark. Another homer for Mantle. Mickey Mantle, the batter. A windup in the pitch, and Mantle bangs it. A long, high fly ball hit very high and very deep into right field. It's out of here. A home run by Mickey Mantle. In Game 2 in the 60 series, Mantle swings and drives one to deep center field at Ford Field, the biggest part of the ballpark, and it's gone.
That was in Pittsburgh there. That was, I think that was the only time that I felt like the best team got beat in the World Series. Pittsburgh beat us that year. That was the year that Kubek got hit in the throat with that bad hop, and we scored something like 53 runs, and they scored 13, I think, in that World Series game. I mean, in that one series, and they beat us. That's one of the worst feelings I ever had in my life after that series there.
Mantle's had a big year against the Indians. Here's the left-hander's pitch. Here's a shot by Mantle into deep left center. That ball jumps out of here. A home run by Mickey Mantle. And so the World Series moves along. Here's a long, long drive. Mantle back, makes the catch on the run in front of the warning track.
There's one of the best pitchers. He knew that one was gone, I think, just as soon as he threw it.
That was Koufax.
That was Koufax. He didn't make very many mistakes, and when he did, you had to take advantage of him. I think Koufax is probably the best left-handed pitcher I ever hit against.
Big moment in this World Series game. Here's a drive by Mickey way, way back. The ball is carrying well, and it is gone. A home run by Mickey Mantle. Big moment of this ball game. Mantle will be the hitter, and they play him back deep. Here's the pitch, and Mantle's laying it down. The butt is perfect. Mantle will get a base hit. There's no play on him.
All your great outfielders, years past, you look, they all have to possess that great speed.
Yeah, I did. I could run pretty good. I wasn't really known as a great outfielder, though.
Well, Mickey, in 1959, you joined a club that at that time was pretty exclusive. $100,000 a year club. That's Musial, Mays, DiMaggio, and Ted Williams. were the only ones who actually had a salary of $100,000 in those days, and we're going to take a look at the $100,000 club in just a moment. Mickey, in 1960, you reached a level of excellence very few ball players had attained before then, the $100,000 a year club. I guess it's quite a distance from 1949, receiving $100,000 a year as a salary from the New York Yankees. It's a far cry from 1949.
It sure is. I think that when I signed with the Yankees in '49, they gave me $1,500 for the whole year. $500 of it was considered a bonus, and the other $1,000 was for finishing out that summer. About that time was when they started giving these big bonuses to the ball players, and the way that I got into the picture was Tom Greenway, the Yankee scout, lived in Springfield, Missouri, and he was on his way to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma to sign a shortstop. He was talking about giving him $35,000, and he stopped in Baxter Springs. I was playing the Baxter Springs Whiz Kids, and he stopped there to watch this ball game, and I happened to hit 3 home runs that day. I hit 2 right-handed and 1 left-handed, and all 3 of them went in the river, which was quite a ways out in center field there, and he stopped and talked to me. Of course, he couldn't sign me right at that time because I was still in high school, so he told me that, he asked me if I would like to play at the Yankees. And of course, you know, Joe DiMaggio was always my idol, and I said, sure, I'd like to play at the Yankees. And he said, well, don't do anything. He said, whenever I come back through here and you graduate out of high school, why, maybe we can talk to you. And he gave me $1,500.
Here's a few guys that I think you'll realize not only achieve stardom, but big salaries.
Well, it was a big thrill to make $100,000. Babe, I guess he didn't never get to $100,000, but he made $80,000, and I think they only taxed him like $5,000. That bat he's swinging, Paul, is 48 ounces. And that is unbelievable. He must have really been strong. I think when I finally quit, when I retired, I was using a 30-ounce bat to give you an illustration of how big that bat was.
And DiMaggio, of course, one of the greats.
I think that probably there's the greatest all-around baseball player that ever lived. He could do everything, like sliding in there. Ted Williams is probably the greatest hitter I ever saw, I think, but he wasn't the all-around baseball player that Musial and DiMaggio was. And that's Willie Mays, of course. He's fielding is one of the greatest fielders that ever played the game. This is that great catch that he made off of Vic Wirtz in the '54 World Series. That's whenever people really started noticing Willie.
And this is the Mick. Great arms, Mickey.
I think that came from swinging that sledgehammer in the mines, Paul. We used to have milk cows. I had to milk 16 milk cows before I go to work in the mines.
What is
Looks
that?
like I popped up on that one. One time I did that, though. I hit what I thought was a pop-up into center field, and I took my bat and broke it on the ground, and the ball went into the center field bleachers and kind of made me feel stupid that day.
And this, of course, 1951, your first World Series, and you're carried off here, Mickey, the first of the series of injuries. When they think of Mickey Mantle, you think people talk about your injuries. This was the first one in the World Series.
That one right there, I think, was probably the one that started all the rest of them. I tore up my right knee. Not very many people know it, but that was in a series against the Giants, and Willie Mays hit a pop-up to right center field, and I was running over to catch a ball. I was looking at the ball, and I got to it, and Joe DiMaggio was playing center field, was standing under it. Of course, I didn't want to run into my idol. When I tried to stop, my foot hit a rubber drain in the outfield there, and my knee didn't give. It just went out on me.
Mickey, modern day baseball's answer to Murder's Row.
Yeah, that's me and Roger Maris right there, and Moose Skowron and Yogi Berra. I think probably, Paul, that's one of the best offensive teams I ever played with. A lot of people don't know it, but the year that Roger hit the 61 home runs, I had 54 that same year. Our catchers hit 60 home runs that year. Yogi had 20, and Elston Howard and Johnny Blanchard had 20 apiece. So we had a lot of home runs that year. This is in the World Series in the early 50s against the Dodgers. That's Monk Myers. The bases are loaded there. Now, I hit that ball into left center field with the bases loaded. It was a grand slam home run. In Yankee Stadium, it would have been a pop-up, really, and I would have given anything to play it in Ebbets Field my whole career. It was only 390 feet, I think, to dead center field. There's a couple of pretty good pitchers there. Whitey Ford, I think he's the greatest pitcher that I ever played for, and Warren Spahn, of course, is one of the best I ever played against.
How about this young man?
Hank Aaron, I think, was probably the most underrated baseball player in my era. People always used to compare me and Willie Mays and Sandy Koufax. And Hank was kind of stuck out in Milwaukee, where he didn't get very much publicity. But I'm glad to see him finally getting the acclaim that he deserves.
Mickey, here is a shot coming up here where you break the record, Yankee Stadium, for most home runs in a World Series.
Well, this is Sal Magley. This was Don Larson's perfect game. That was the first run we got that day. Sal Magley was pitching a great game up until this. I think this was about the 5th inning. I hit a home run off of Magley and put us ahead 1-0. Later on, we got another run in that game. We beat them 2